Hello, and welcome to another Game Developers Vlog, in which we'll again be talking about Copenhagen Crisis, the game I'm making. Right now, I'm in the level editing mode of the game, and I think you can already tell that quite a lot has happened since last. I've put plenty new sprites, graphics into it, making sure that it looks a little bit nicer. Some of these have been ready for a long while, I just didn't put them in, and some of them I finished just recently. Now, far from all the graphics that I need are in the game, but more, and crucially, I don't need replacement graphics at the moment. That's very nice. You see those little T's at the top. Those are the portals that you might remember from last video, where cars can drive onto the field. Now they are in the turquoise border, and that is not visible when you play anyway. You can't go there, and that will never be shown during gameplay, as you will see later in the video. So that's fine. they can remain that kind of graphic. Doesn't matter. I have updated the level editor. I've updated the graphics, as you see. I've updated the car artificial intelligence or AI, and a couple of other things as well. So I'll try to show that in a not too long amount of time. Let's just continue building this level for a bit as I show you. Here I'm placing what I call set dressing. These things don't do anything. This is sidewalk, but they have no properties in the game. In that they don't affect gameplay in any way, but the entities in the game. But they of course look kind of nice, and that's their purpose. At least I think they look nice. What do we do here? Maybe something like this. I don't know. I can move around things smoothly now and place them where I want, like there. That's not nice. That's not a good place to have it, but I could do that if I wanted to. We could have a patch of grass in the middle there, just for fun, I guess. And I can place some bushes like this to mark the the border of the park. That's useful for placing these decorative items and make it seem a little bit less weird, because if I go back to the normal mode of moving around things, you can see I can only move in in a very rigid pattern. That's useful when I'm placing these road elements or waypoints, because they need to line up, and it would just be annoying if they moved more smoothly. Then I wouldn't be sure if they lined up. But in this way, it's really difficult. It's very clear when they don't line up, and that is comforting. Because you don't want to build a large level and find out that you've done something wrong and crash the program before you save it. You still can't save the level, by the way, but that will be a feature soon, of course. Anyway, I think that part's kind of done. Maybe we should have some sidewalk down here as well. Another thing I've added to the graphics side of things is the ability, as I think you've perceived, to have a larger level than before. Before, the game was only one screen big. You could walk around on one screen. Now it can be, I guess it can be almost any size. And I've tinkered quite a lot with the graphics, so that, for example, when this is all consolidated by the program, it creates one big picture, sort of like those play mats that young children often have, with a top-down view of a town or city, with printed roads. They look quite a lot like this, and they drive around the little toy cars on that. The game sort of creates an image like that to make it easy to display the background. Earlier, everything was displayed in its own time, so to speak. I still used one picture, but for every time the game wanted to show you its world, which was several times per second, 30 to be precise, it would draw everything on that picture and then show it to you. Now it just draws the one picture. Well, at least the background, the ground, as I call it, the ground picture. Because then things that move, like the player and the cars and bullets and such, they are drawn later one by one, because you never know exactly how many are going to be in the game world. Now I shan't dwell too long on this, because then the video will draw out for too long, I think, but or drag on for too long. But I thought you might want to see me do a bit of this, and hence I am. Let's round that off nicely, shall we? Shan't we? There we go. Weep. It's still not a terribly easy to use tool, this level editor, but it's getting easier. Do you want to be here still? Yes, why not? Actually, we can move him, the player character, over to this park, or to this place here, just to show that I can. Now let's press the consolidate button. That went quickly. Now let's go back to game mode and look at some of the features I've made. Now I'm playing and I'm waiting for the cars to spawn in. As you can see, the picture sort of follows me around, except when I'm in sort of the top part here. It doesn't go any further north with me. And when I go over here, it doesn't go any further west. There came a lot of cars. No, that's because that's the end of the game world. As I told you, we can't go to the turquoise bit. He just stops if I try to go out over the edge or beyond the edge. He just stops. He can go beyond the edge if he's sitting on top of a car, but eventually he will, when the car goes through the portal, he will be left behind and then he will be pushed back onto the game. That's that. Another thing which isn't really very clear here is that I've worked a lot on the artificial intelligence of the cars. It's not an advanced AI in any way, but it is the most sophisticated one I've made. It's not really so much an individual AI for each car as it is just a pattern for how to drive under certain circumstances. I guess that is what AI is, just a pattern for how to behave under specific circumstances. I wish it would get a bit more crowded, and no, actually you can see some of it here. If you recall, the cars would often drive just through each other, and that's the behavior I wanted to end. They still can, technically. They don't crash with each other. There's no code for that. But it's very rare now, and it still happens on occasion, but it's much rarer than before. And that's because I've put in all this sort of censoring that they do. They check whenever they're going anywhere. They'll check to see if there's anything in the way or about to be in the way. So as you can see, sometimes they'll stop, even though there's nothing right in front of them, but there's something coming from the side. So oh, that's something coming from over there. And then they'll make a few judgment calls, checking who's closest to their destination or to the intersection they're going to. And I had plenty of problems with cars getting stuck, because of course when too many cars came to an intersection, they'd all stop and no one would be able to go, like they're sort of doing there now. And this is excellent, actually. This will soon show you how they solve it. Once they've stood still for 5 seconds, or slightly more than that, they will start backing up. And of course always checking if there's an opening in front of them. So eventually, in most cases, that all of them backing up will result in at least one of them getting sort of free space to go to where they wanted. And it seems quite robust. I've tested it quite a lot now this evening, and yeah, this evening was a few hours, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. I'm really happy with that. We'll see, of course, if more problems arise later. One last thing that I added This car AI thing, they took a lot of time to program, to just the improvements. Many hours a day. Did I work on it yesterday? Yes, I did. But after that, I wanted to add something that I promised before, and that's to make these bullets destructive. They didn't have any property beyond the merely visual before. So, if I manage to hit a car 5 times, it will explode. The bullets don't explode as they used to either. It's less spectacular to just shoot, but there should be a difference to when you do something like this. Whether I'll keep this in the game or not, I'm not sure, but I wanted to start introducing a bit more physicality to it. And that serves the purpose. Shooting cars when you're sitting on top of one can be buggy. It can result in me falling off because it doesn't register, or the one I'm sitting on, because the number of cars has changed while I'm still there. I think I know how to solve that. I solved the problem of course, at first when you were on top of a car and shooting, because it checks if the bullet is occupying the same space as the car. Of course, you just shoot your own car and it will explode almost immediately. But I managed to tell the code to ignore the one you're sitting on and such. Is there anything more to tell? I don't think so. What I'm going to add next, apart from surely some more refinement of the level editor, is pedestrians, something I wanted to do for a long while. Pedestrians, which might include the enemies, I don't know yet. There will be enemies eventually, but I'm also keen on putting in walls and make things physical. Maybe those bushes there should be a bit difficult to walk through, or impossible. I don't know how tall they are. And yeah, walls to create buildings. That would add a nice new dimension to the game in general. But probably first pedestrians, because I think I can make the pedestrians sort of using a lot of the code I've used for the cars, if not using the exact same ones, functions I mean, then at least make near carbon copies of them and then just change them a little. They will have to be slightly different. The pedestrians are supposed to be a bit more versatile than the cars, but I'm not sure I'm going to succeed in doing that well. We'll see. How long have I been talking now? Oh, quite a bit. Quite a bit. I hope this wasn't too long and rambling, but I think it might have been quite interesting to see. It's certainly more visually appealing now than before, don't you think? Yes. With that, I think I'll just end this by wishing you a good time of day and goodbye.